Welcome, fellow anglers, to the Good Karma Sport Fishing Podcast. I am Captain Ryan Van Fleet, your host here in the Florida Keys. Each week I bring you fishing tips, stories, gear reviews, and more to help you maximize your time on the water, catch big fish, and overall have fun. So I learned at a very young age that making the bait requires work and getting really dirty. My dad and I used to make catfish cheese bait in the garage on summer days when I was growing up. We would spend after we get done working, we'd come home and we would start making this catfish cheese bait in the garage, and it was a dirty ass process, but I love making this shit. And when we made our own cheese bait, we caught the hell out of the fish. The catfish and the flatheads just loved this homemade stuff versus when we had to buy it at the store. It kind of sucked having to buy stuff at the store because I knew that it wasn't going to perform as well as the stuff that we made. But, in a pinch, we had to buy the stuff because making bait is a lot of work and takes a lot of time. Also, all the old timers at the ramps, man, we'd run into them and, they had their own secret recipe catfish bait. And they were always like, everybody kept it all secret. And then they would sell it to the, what they would do is these old timers would sell their catfish bait to the local shops, and then word got out about it at the ramps, and then the guys would go to the shops and buy the bait, and they said, oh, we got the bait, and it's like, oh, my God. And then back then at the ramps, everybody would kind of, over a coffee, they would talk about the cheese bait and where to buy it, and that's where you got your information. At ramps nowadays, man, it's so much different than what it used to be. Those that work hard catch fish consistently, like the old timers I seen at the dock on those summer afternoons when I was a kid. We had an aluminum boat with an old Mariner on the back of it, and that's what we fished in on the Mississippi for catfish. And at the end of the day, this aluminum boat was a freaking mess, man. It was so nasty. I just remember it, but I didn't give a shit because it was like we caught fish, man. And it was, and there was always a water hose waiting for you at the end of the day to get that stuff off of there and get the boat cleaned up. Sometimes you just got to get a little dirty to catch big fish. This is a part 1 of maybe a 2 or 3-part series about the Ballyhoop. So I was inspired to do this podcast because I was reading through Ballyhoop's comments on their Instagram page, and there was a gentleman that posted, "I wish it was that easy." So sometimes the videos out there, they make you think that it's easy, and then you see comments like it takes practice from Ballyhoop. I think that's great. It does take practice. So seeing that comment about I wish it was that easy, inspired me to do the podcast for you guys. So I'm going to teach you my listeners some tricks, and I'm going to let you in on a few secrets to using a hoop net. Like I said, hoop nets have been around for a long time, and so there's a lot of secrets to using these things. So I'm going to, teach you guys a few things from chum selection to, how you can modify the hoop net to catch more bait when it's tough. Okay, first, you have to pick the right chum to catch bait with. And very important. You need a finely ground chum with lots of oil, and good oil. There's a difference between good oil and bad oil, and you guys will figure that out over time. I can't teach you all the tricks, and you'll notice it right away when you chum a lot, whether a chum block is good or a chum block is bad, because not all chum blocks are created equal, guys. Sorry. It's not how it works. It's something that's processed and made, and especially in the chum, like I said, it's not regulated. You don't know what's in it. You don't know how much oil's in it. But anyways, so I'm not going to get into that. You get the point. Now, first, I'm not a fan of tournament brand Blue Label. I've seen a change in this chum over the years. I think there's been a lot of regulatory issues with the menhaden and menhaden shortages, and I just hear a lot. So last winter, I made the switch to Captain's Choice chum, and I'm so glad I did, by the way. It's just awesome stuff for getting the bait fish up quickly, and the yellowtail snappers love it. Now, I got the recommendations from a local commercial fishing buddy, and I'm glad I listened to him because, it was a tough call for me to make a change, but I made the change, and wow, I was like super impressed with this stuff. Still am. Now, like I said, it's a natural sardine oil chum is what Captain's Choice is, and in my opinion, it's the best chum for ballyhoo fishing. The ballyhoo, basically, you put this stuff in the water, man, these fish are up right away is what I'm seeing. And also, too, it doesn't attract the birds as much. I see less bird activity on my chum. So I had heard about it, but I was like, yeah, it's the truth, man. I don't see as much bird activity on this chum as I do on the other stuff such as Tournament Brand. Just another little tip. When you get the birds in, man, it scares the shit out of the bait. First thing. Now, 3 hours before my scheduled charter trip, I remove a 25-pound block out of my freezer, and I set it out at room temperature. I let it start the melt process. Now, I want the oils to start to activate and all that good stuff. You're probably thinking right now, why the hell is he doing this so early in the morning for? I'm going to get to that in a little bit. So, anyways, next I start to make my homemade soft chum, a.k.a. the slop or the chum cloud. I call it soft chum, while others have different names for it. Aquatic Nutrition jumped on this years ago. Guides have been making soft chum for years, and Aquatic Nutrition had a great idea, and they came in, they see what the guys were doing, and then they started packaging it and selling it retail. But the good guides have been doing this for years, and that's where Aquatic Nutrition got the idea. Awesome idea, super easy to use Aquatic Nutrition stuff, but my homemade stuff is the shit, and I'll never deviate from it. I like to make it in bulk, but if you just want to have some fun and catch a few fish, then just buy the Aquatic Nutrition stuff. It's an option for you guys. Ballyhoop is going to be selling it online, so you can purchase that and make it easy for you. Or you can I would recommend you just purchase it through Ballyhoop when they sell it online. You're going to see that here pretty soon. Now, I've talked about my soft chum mixture in previous podcasts. Now, I'm not going to get into that today. I want you guys to refer back to the Florida Sportsman article on the website. I talk about what I use for soft chum, and then you can dig back into some of my previous podcasts where I talked about it. Okay, so the purpose of my soft chum is I want to create a chum cloud in the water to attract the fish, and plus what this does is that as I throw the soft chum in the water, the soft chum sinks and disperses, and then the scent goes throughout the water column. So I'm chumming mid-water column, and I'm chumming the bottom as well. I spread the goodness of my beloved 2 a.m. hard work of cutting up speedo chunks and mixing them with the soft chum. I mix in bonito guts. I mix in flying fish chunks. Sometimes I do a lot of, I'm like a mad scientist when it comes to making soft chum. I love it sometimes. And sometimes I hate it. It's kind of like a love-hate relationship with making this stuff, but it catches fish. So you got to do the work to catch the fish and got to get dirty. Next, now I mentioned that I set out this sardine oil block of chum, like this 25-pound block. I set it out really early in the morning. So now I'm going to talk about why. Now, after I finish making the soft chum, I set the entire 25-pound block, which is that time to melt and activate, and the oils are melting out of it. So I set this entire block of chum. I take it out of the plastic bag, and I set the entire block on top of my soft chum, and I let the sardine oil seep into the soft chum. And then I start mixing the sardine oil and any types of chunks that have fallen off the frozen block as it melts into the soft chum mix. Guys, a little bit of chum and a little bit of guts goes a long ways in your soft chum mix. Just keep that in mind. You don't need a lot. Okay, so I was always taught to use Menhaden milk because that's what everybody uses. But then I got doing some experimentation on my own, and I heard a few things. I heard some, that's how things work. You hear things. Keep your ears to the grindstone. You'll hear things too, little tips and so forth. So I want you guys to think on this. When you're out there fishing, how many schools of Menhaden are you seeing swim by your boat? I personally haven't seen any Menhaden, but I have seen millions of sardines. And I do know one thing, the sardine, as far as a bait goes, is probably one of the best baits in South Florida that I've seen, aside from the goggle eye and the speedo. The sardine is killer. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Okay, so making soft chum is not easy, for one, but you'll get the hang of it. Let your inner mad scientist come out. It's a fun thing to do, especially if you can figure it out. It's very rewarding when you catch your first big fish with a a batch of soft chum that you made, you're going to want more and more and more of it. It's very addicting, which is great. But the key to making a good soft chum is getting it to distribute properly in the water. You got to get the consistency right for the proper distribution in the water. Now, I do a couple things. One thing I do is I add a little starch or a little playground sand. I prefer to use starch, but in a pinch, I keep bags of playground sand around. And then what I do as I'm mixing the soft chum, I'll add a little starch, and then I'll add a little bit more. It's kind of like baking a cake. You're adding a little starch. Your starch is your binder. You're getting the stuff to hold together. So to get the consistency right, you add a little bit, you mix a little bit. You add a little bit, you mix a little bit until you get the feel for, until you get the right consistency. And that's something you guys are going to have to learn on your own, is what consistency you like to use. Now, next, I like to add a little lecithin, a.k.a. non-stick cooking oil. Lecithin's naturally extracted from fish eggs and fish roe. Yes, it's fish oil, guys. So find yourself some cooking spray and take the cooking spray, look on the back. If it's got fish oil in it, you got yourself some fish oil. Spray your soft chum with the cooking spray, add a little, mix a little, get that stuff... It's going to help with the consistency. It's going to help with the chum distribution. Lecithin works wonders in soft chum. And it's going to give it a little sheen on the water, guys. And it's going to give you a little bit more of a chum slick. So continue making your mix. You add a little bit of ingredient. Then you mix a little bit. Then you spray the nonstick cooking oil. Get the consistency right. And then you add another layer. So you just keep going until until you're full. In other words, when I say full, until your bucket's full and your mixture is correct. So you're making sure that each level of your soft chum is mixed properly. And then at the end, you try to do one big mix if you can, and then you got yourself some soft chum. Like I'm gonna keep saying, you gotta add a little, mix a little, and that's what I tell my clients as I'm making this stuff. It takes practice, but once you get the consistency that you're looking for, you're gonna. There's another little trick that I want you guys to do. It works very well, and it's going to be totally up to you if you do this, but it works. What I want you to find the smallest mesh chum bag you can, guys. And then put that chum bag into a bucket. I use yellow Tidy Cat litter buckets, and then I want you to pack your soft chum into this fine mesh chum bag that's lined in your bucket. Just scoop it in there, pack it in there till that chum bag's full. This is the easiest way to make homemade chum, guys. The tip that I just gave you is the easiest way to make homemade chum, where you don't have to grind up a bunch of stuff in a wood chipper and grind up all the crap that you see on the internet. Don't do that. This is the easiest way to do it, guys. It works very well. I'm just going to leave it at that. Also, too, what I like to do is, depending on how hot the water temperature is, I like to double bag the homemade chum. In other words, I'll take the fine mesh bag full of soft chum, and then I'll throw it in a large mesh bag in the water. So that double bag, it really helps control the flow and makes your stuff last a little longer. So you're thinking, why don't I use fish food pellets like everybody else, right? Well, I'm not everybody else. And I have confidence, a lot of confidence in my soft chum. The stuff's wicked. I've seen it perform better than the chum that you can actually buy. It's just an awesome, awesome mixture. And I've worked to refine it over the years, and I'm continuing to work on making it better. Now, in part 2 of this podcast series, I'm going to talk about how to decoy the ballyhoo in the net using my soft chum, or the soft chum you make and use, and I'm going to teach you how to modify the ballyhoop to catch bait in all different types of situations. Is when I say situations, current conditions, and that no one's talking about on the internet right now. Okay, before I wrap it up, here's what I know about the fishing. Yesterday, I heard there were a ton of boats out there, over 1,000 boats out on the water. The guys down south supposedly didn't catch many dolphin, but who knows, man? It seems if one guy's not catching them, then the rest of the guys aren't catching them. But I did just hear that there was some dolphin caught this weekend, and there were a few guys that got on them pretty good, and they didn't go to the Bahamas. They were here, so they just had to put in some work. Where they're at, I've got a good idea. I'm gonna go that way tomorrow, and I'll let you know if I got them north, if I got them south. The time of day means a lot. I mean, this time of year they could be swimming anywhere, so I'm gonna put in a little time because I've got some clients that want to hunt. So I'm going to put in the time for them and look for them. Then we'll probably do some mutton snapper fishing tomorrow and do some yellowtail fishing this week and mix it up a little bit. But the clients want to catch dolphin this time of year, and I don't blame them because I love to go dolphin fishing too. But that's really all I got. So I want you guys, if you guys want to see how I do this week, please follow me on Instagram at goodkarmasportfishing_FL_keys, and then you can see what I do as far as the fishing goes. I also got something new we're going to be doing now. I always say that Good Karma is sports fishing podcast. I want to build a community. So my friend Elliot London that owns Bait Strips is going to be a weekly contributor for the Pompano Beach area as far as the fishing goes. Kid's a great fisherman. He's got a great product that he's trying to get the word out about that works. So Elliot sent me a little fishing report for you guys in that area. So here it is. Now, Elliot fishes out of Hillsborough Inlet in Florida. He says that the fishing this past week was very good out in the front. This past Thursday, he trolled between 100 to 300 feet. He managed to catch 6 beautiful blackfins. Two of them were over 20 pounds, along with 3 dolphin, and then he was the bonito slayer, as is everybody this time of year when they're blackfin tuna fishing up there. Elliot, nice job, brother. All these fish, he said, came on the planers and the small tuna feathers, troll between 6 to 10 miles an hour. On the planers, he runs he was using the blue and white sea witches as well as hot pink sea witches with the bait strips. And bait strips are killer, guys. You got to look them up, www.baitstrips.com. In the next couple of weeks, the dolphin should be showing up there offshore. He says it's going to pick up a little bit. The weed lines are going to start forming offshore, which is going to make it easier to find them. And as the summer progresses up there, the king mackerel bite inshore will get better and better and better, he says. Also, if you guys don't know, but Elliot is one hell of a wahoo fisherman. Yeah, so I give Bait Strips a follow and follow Elliot on Instagram. It's elliot.london, and then Bait Strips is also another thing you guys need to follow. Look at the wahoo this guy catches, man. I mean, he is consistent too, and he keeps it very simple, and it's somebody that you guys need to watch because his style of fishing is great, and you will learn something. Elliot's going to be providing some weekly fishing reports for that area for the Good Karma Sport Fishing Podcast. So stay tuned every week if you want to know what's happening in that area. As we grow, I'll be looking for people that want to contribute each week from your area. So keep that in mind. If you're interested in being a contributor, email me at goodkarmaryan@gmail.com and send me your information, and we can talk. That's all I got for today, guys. Tune in next week for part 2 of this 2-part series, maybe 3, like I said, not sure yet, of Ballyhoop catching tips and secrets. To keep up with Good Karma Sport Fishing's daily catches and our projects as we work on them, please follow us at goodkarmasportfishing_FL_keys, or you can follow us on Facebook at Good Karma Sport Fishing. And please make sure to check out our website. I publish a bi-weekly fishing report at www.goodkarmasportfishing.com. Again, thanks for listening, and remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good.